It's the Center Fantasy Football Podcast.
Welcome to the party, pal!
Yes! Yes! Yes, this is my favorite part of the game.
Analyzing all of the league matchups week to week.
You can't win!
Get him a body bag! Finish him!
It is a bit above average.
I said this sucks, and basically so do you.
And discussing the boom, bust, and hidden gem players throughout the league.
We ain't found shit!
What the hell is Brett Favre doing here?
I'm in town to play the Dolphins, you dumbass.
Dan Marino should die of gonorrhea and rot in hell. Laces out.
Touchdown!
And here's your host,
Allow myself to introduce myself.
David Harbacken. Hello and welcome to the Center Fantasy Football Podcast for Week 8 of Season 6. We are past the halfway point. Yeah, you got two depressed hosts on this game, on this podcast. But whatever, let's go through it. Oh, yeah, I should probably introduce you, right?
What does it matter?
I mean, it does.
You can introduce the Hagler team as the wet nap prior to the appetizer. Would you like to wash your hands before you have your appetizer?
I'm quite a wet nap after this week. My team decided not to show up at the absolute worst time. But anyway, yes, so it is Gay Zaletzky, the host of the Hackettstown Hagglers and esteemed commissioner of the league, joining us on the program. We do have a lot, actually, to get to. There were, once again, some exciting Monday night games. It seems to be the case every week now, and some pathetic performances by some teams that really needed to not be. I don't know where we should start. Where should we start?
I see what you did there. Mustair. It's Mustair. The San Francisco running back. All right, let's just get it out of the way and go to the first wet nap game of the week. The Hackettstown Hagglers.
This is actually
what could have been another nail-biting Monday night showdown turns out to be a Falcon false-starting fat fuck fiasco.
Well, I mean, I didn't watch this game because I was so depressed after. First of all, I was exhausted from Sunday night, so I didn't even watch this game. I did read what Tillett said about the game, which sounds like it's quite exciting. I know you were watching it because of this, but I certainly did not pay attention to your game because I was just in a hole depressed. But so I'll let you go through the game between. Well, I watched part of your game because we talked on Sunday. So, all right. Andy Dalton. Actually, I'll just let you do it because you break down this game.
Andy Dalton, I mean, he was pitiful. That game was pitiful for the Bengals offense, which we actually gave me hope for the Monday night game because Sterling Shepard, what kind of usage does he get? He hasn't been doing anything in a while. But, leave it to the New York Giants to target Shepard for big plays all night long. I mean, 5 catches for 167 yards. Are you kidding? From Sterling Shepard. Atlanta's pass defense is non-existent, all right? I was chilling when Flacco hit Brown on the last play of the game. I wanted to go into overtime, but the bitch-ass Ravens kicker missed the field goal. He's an idiot. Okay, he's never missed a field goal before, but I guess like Harbacken says, these are the breaks in fantasy football, all right? It's good to be on the good side of the breaks. Well, we were not all weekend. I mean, this is a winnable game against Nick. I mean, the critics and the pundits are going to point to the tight end. You should have played Burton. No shit, all right? We rolled the dice on Azuma. We wanted to check it out to see what he would do in a favorable matchup, a shootout against Kansas City, except the problem is his quarterback was Andy Dalton. I mean, he did throw a touchdown pass to Azuma, which was great. The joy lasted about 5 seconds. And they actually put in the backup at the end of the game who threw a pass to Azuma. That was great. So it all came down to Monday night. We're going to fast forward through the rest of this train wreck. Every other player sucked this week for basically everybody, except for Todd Gurley, of course, the touchdown machine. I mean, his statistics sometimes are just pitiful. 63 rushing yards, and with anybody else would equal about 10 points. But not Gurley. Gurley, man. And actually, we had a good chance to see just what makes Todd Gurley so great. He doesn't do shit until his team gets first and goal from the inside the 10. Then he comes trotting in. I'll take it from here, coach. And he just runs it in for these short little ditty touchdowns all the time. It's ridiculous. So anyway, let's fast forward to the Monday Night Fiasco. Sterling Shepard, I mean, I had like a 11-point lead over Nick at one point, and then a 6-point lead, and then Shepard catches this 50-yard bomb, and they just trip him up, and I'm like, there it is, and I looked at the score. It was 130.68 to 130.52. Whew, was I sweating bullets, okay? So I lasted the entire third quarter, all the way through the fourth quarter, down to like the 2-minute and 55-second mark, and the Falcons, all right, they got it second down and 1. All they had to do was run it up the middle. But this fat piece of shit on the Falcons line false starts and makes it 2nd and 6. So they bang you up the middle. It's 3rd down and short again. And what does this fat shit do? He false starts again, which forces them into 3rd and 6. And now they have to throw. They don't get the first down. And when the Giants get the ball back, which had no business touching the ball after that, they should have easily milked out the clock. And I can squeak away and be a happy coach on this podcast. But no, the first thing they do in prevent defense, mind you, they throw a 50-yard bomb to Sterling Shepard. Game over. And that great prevent defense. Love that Joker. So congratulations, Nicky baby, I guess. I mean, Nick was beatable. This was a beatable game, but
he was he was who you thought they were.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to crown him? Go ahead and crown his ass.
And you let him off the hook. No, so what happened was, okay. So basically, all right, you made the right move on Sanders instead of playing him, or Brown. I mean, first of all, Sanders got you off to a huge lead on that Thursday night in the Mile High Club, which we'll get to later. But 29 points for Emmanuel Sanders. It's looking good after Thursday night. Then, you play Joe Flacco to Brown. I mean, Flacco got 23, 26 to Brown. Adrian Peterson, only 11.7 points, but that's acceptable. Azuma still, I mean, you discussed the Tim Burton thing, that's true. But, I mean, look, I mean, the critics will certainly have the questions about that. I mean, looking in retrospect, but I mean, Cincinnati was playing Kansas City, and Kansas City has let up a lot of points in their games. So it's not, whereas Chicago was playing against New England. It was a sensible move. It just didn't work out. I mean, it sort of worked out because, yes, Nicky Baby actually got the points off the touchdown, the one touchdown that Andy Dalton threw. To Azuma, and you actually Bennett, you got more points than him on that play, so it looked good for a while there. Robert Woods 13.4 points. You sat DeAndre Hopkins with 14, but I mean, 13.4 to 14. I mean, actually, had he not gotten that 50-yard bomb, it could have made a little bit of a difference. But yeah, and then Prater gets 16 points for you. You just picked him up, so good pickup there. The New York defense, that cost you with -2 points. But, good performance from everywhere except the running back position, which has been your Achilles heel or your Dalvin Cook hamstring or whatever it is. Yeah, I mean, but your wide receivers have been solid, and they continue to perform. All three really did. It's just that running back position. For Nick, I mean, he was beatable. Andy Dalton goes in there and gets only 10 points. Keenan Allen, only 12 points. In that game, by the way, that Tennessee just milked the entire quarter away, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. You got to Shepard. Gurley, 30.6 points. Allen, in the Baltimore game, only got 5.4. Kittle, who actually has been a pretty good pickup, for Nick, getting 20.8 points. Obviously, he got him in the Connor trade, but and Connor is better than Kittle. But Kittle has been not a bad player at all. He's been one of the best tight ends in the league. And then Latavius Murray with 22.30 points, who is actually subbing in for your running back, Dalvin Cook. And then McManus with 10 and 5 for the Los Angeles defense. On a week, by the way, that Cooper Kupp was out. This was, Aaron Rodgers was out. He had a lot of players out this week, so this was really an opportunity that just slipped away
Mm.
because of because you got Wang Chung, the fat fuck lineman, calls it back. For anybody who doesn't remember center history, Wang Chung, who just kept getting holding penalties in Madden 97, as I was about to kick the game-winning field goal to get myself in the playoffs over Minor. Then I get a holding call, then another holding call. Made each of those field goals, and then he finally missed the last field goal because he was back too far. So I'm well aware of this feeling, except this was in fantasy now. So this was your little Wang.
I mean, it comes down to like, it's just like Nick and Jamie's game last year, where that guy was offsides on a meaningless play for a field goal. It changed the entire landscape of the playoffs, everything, because of one offsides penalty. This could be that game. This fat fuck, if he doesn't false start twice, the game's over. Nick doesn't get the ball back, and the Hagglers are 4-3. Keep an eye on this, people. If we miss the playoffs by one game, I'm going to kill this guy. I will find this guy. I'm going to say this on this podcast. He's a dead man.
You heard it here first. All right. As this gets submitted for evidence.
I don't care. It's fine. This man is a dead man. We don't make the playoffs.
As your attorney, I would advise you to.
Whatever. Whatever, dude.
All right. So anything else you have to say about this horrific performance?
But we started with the first, so I can get the venting out.
Yeah, it's not even a horrific performance. It was actually a good performance. You want to talk about a horrific performance? Let's go to the battle for first place. Now, two teams going into this game at the top of the league, 5-1 each of them, I think it was, right? Is that what we were at? Yeah, 5-1. And, should be a battle royale. Well, that battle royale started and ended in Denver. The Denver defense, who has done nothing all season, and that Nick and Jamie just picked out of nowhere. I don't even know. 11 points the first week, so okay. But other than that, 4, 5, 0, 3, 6. Oh, and then they go and play on Thursday night, and what do? They get 32 points. 32 points in the Mile High Club. That's more than any player on my team, by far. I mean, my team, that's more than my quarterback. You would have to combine, that's more than the combined running back total. That's more than the flex and wide receiver. You can combine so many things that still would not equal that Denver score. So we're already behind the 8 ball. And then adding to the Mile High woes, Melvin Gordon, one of my better players, injures himself on the plane. Injures himself on the plane on the way to London. And to make it even worse, he's a game time decision as to whether or not he'll play. So I have to stay up all night because this is the London game. So for me, for you East Coast people, it's like a 9:30. This is a 6:30 a.m. game for me. So I have to stay up all night waiting to find out whether or not I could leave in Melvin Gordon, or I have to take him out and put in Eckler, who, quote unquote, thankfully I had. Not that it mattered, but at least I didn't get 0 points out of him. And then I play Eckler because I find out, okay, Gordon's out. Play Eckler, stay up, watch the game. And I watched Tennessee milk away the entire second quarter. It wasn't even that Eckler was playing bad. He was playing pretty good, actually. But you can't play that well when you don't see the field. They had a 9-minute drive that ended in, I think, an interception on like the 1-yard line. And that was Tennessee. Tennessee was trying to milk the clock away. Even when they were trailing, they were still milking the clock away. They still managed to almost win the game. They tie it, they didn't tie it. They went 1 point down, and they decided to go for 2. So once again, like you were saying, you got screwed out of the overtime. I got screwed out of the overtime because they decided to go for 2 rather than just kick the extra point that would have sent it to overtime, and it would have given Eckler some more points. Not that it would have mattered in this horrific blowout. I mean, I've never seen numbers like this from a team that I've ever had, ever. So Matt Ryan got 21.26 on Monday night. Carson Wentz got 22.7, so relatively even. Edelman gets 14.6 in the Chicago game. I mean, that was the other thing, by the way. His tight end got 0 because Gronk was out, so we could have taken advantage of that. Sony Michel went down with an injury early in the game, so he got 2.5. Gostkowski only got 8. This is, you want to crown them, but they were who we thought they were when we let them off the hook. Because, these are pedestrian numbers. Other than Kareem Hunt, who gets 37, 29 from James White. So you don't even need it from all these other people. And then we didn't even have anybody that came close. Tyler Boyd played in that game on Sunday night where, did Cincinnati play in it? I don't know. I know Kansas City played in that Sunday night game. I'm not sure that Cincinnati showed up for that because 5.7 from Boyd. And then I also played Captain Kirk on Thursday night to try to counter that Denver defense. Woo! 8.7 points. That's all he gets. Weeks before
A- will have beamed him up because he was a non-factor.
Yeah. Like I said, Eckler gets 11 points. I mean, that's great, Bob. But when you're going against Kareem Hunt with 37, and by the way, Connor or Bell, who knows what he's doing, is on a bye, so, whatever. Ingram, the week before, Ingram came back off the suspension, or 2 weeks before because of the bye. 21.3 points. Did he do the same this time? No, 6.2. Ooh, it was tough for my team to crack double digits. Kyle Rudolph. Nobody gets the ball on that team except Thielen. He's really hooked on the Thielen there. 2.6 points for Kyle Rudolph against the Jets there. Crabtree gets 11.6. He decided to play. My kicker, finally. How long over the course of the season have I complained about my kicker's performance getting 0 points? I mean, week after, I think there were like 4 weeks where my kicker got like 0 points. I finally got a kicker. He gets 14 points. But then the rest of the team shits the bed. Oh, and then let's top it off with the vaunted Jacksonville defense playing against Houston, who sucks ass the week before. But then they go against Jacksonville, and they can only get 2 points. This Jacksonville defense, who I know Miners picked up, they have been atrocious. I mean, this was... I think I paid a decent amount of money for them in the auction, by the way, because they were... Last year, they were Nick's best offensive player, we dubbed them. Not this year. They got 13 points the first week against the Giants, and they haven't even sniffed double digits since then. 5, 7, 9, 4. 0 against Dallas, and 2 against Houston. Enjoy them, Miner. Goodbye, Jacksonville. Enjoy your game against Philadelphia and London. Bye-bye. And that's it. I got a D out of the report card for he got an A+, so congratulations to him. Got an A+, even though he played the lesser receiver, and T.Y. Hilton had 18 points on his bench, and whatever. A+ to me means that there was no room for improvement. There was room for improvement on this team, by the way. T.J. Yeldon, 17.8 points on the bench. I mean, plenty of weapons there. I didn't have shit. I had Will Fuller with 12.8, so I could at least crack double digits there. And then Ridley got 9.3, and Trubisky actually has been pretty good, 37 points for him on the bench. But everybody else is either on a bye or injured or fucking getting blowjobs on the flight to London and pulling a hamstring. So anyway, congratulations to Nick and Jamie in sole possession of first place. As we are now mired in the muck with our disgusting...
So the first two analysis, we've had threats of violence and sexual innuendo. As this podcast is turning into a smutcast. Well, it may actually be shut down by Yahoo.
Well, luckily we've now moved past that, and we can get into the games that we're no longer...
Well, the format for the podcast from now on should go like this. Teams that did the worst should be part of the wet nap. Then we should move on to the appetizer, and then the Applebee's 2 for $20. So who qualifies for the app? Because we're the wet naps this week. We're pathetic. So let's move on to the appetizer.
Well, there is some...
I don't think Was the actual appetizer the appetizer, or should somebody else be the appetizer this week?
Well, I mean, so the appetizer ate the entree. I mean, this was actually a pathetic game. This was another team. They were who they thought they were, and Odwin let them off the hook. 94.74 points for Eugene to 85.48 for Dr. Hockey. I mean, what do you, I mean, Eugene couldn't even get 100 in this game, and Dr. Hockey still couldn't do it. I mean, this is one of the worst teams of all time. Let's go into the numbers. Kirk Cousins, 21.54 points to Drew Brees' 20.78, so about even there. Michael Thomas, 19.9 points, going against Cole. Cole, who got 4.10 points, who matched Sanu, by the way. And then Cole Beasley. Odwin picks up Cole Beasley for 12.8 points. So, I mean, Thomas right now is making the difference in here. Ezekiel Elliott, the vaunted Ezekiel Elliott, only gets 6.2 points to Philip Lindsay, who got 16.6 points. So 10 more points for Lindsay on Thursday night than Ezekiel Elliott. McCaffrey got 14. Henry got 14.5. Odwin's running backs actually beat the running backs of Eugene that he basically traded away to Eugene, but nonetheless, his running backs were able to beat Eugene's these vaunted running backs. 5.5 for Swaim, as opposed to 3.3 for Brait. Negative 0.5 points for Breda on Eugene's team. 5.6 for Gabriel in the flex. 10 points. This is where Eugene won it. 10 points for the kicker, 14 for the defense. Rosas cost Dr. Hockey this game. Only gets 6, and then 2 for the Dallas defense. I mean, 9-point victory for Eugene, but wow, was this winnable for Dr. Hockey. I mean, he's got to feel, I mean, what are you going to do here, man? I mean, this was, first of all, I mean, a lot of teams had a pathetic performance. I'm not one to speak. I had the worst score in the league this week, but Eugene was definitely catchable. And had he not been playing the entree, there is no way, either the entree or me, he would have walked out of here with a loss. He is lucky that he played the league bitch.
I mean, Eugene, like with these numbers, I mean, this Dr. Hockey could have caught Eugene off guard, but this is just a pitiful team. I mean, they lost it in the defense, actually, 14 points to 2. That's a 12-point swing. He only lost by 9. That's where he lost this game. But the flex for Eugene, I mean, all season long, we've pointed out Eugene has some deficiencies. Actually, the strength of the team, the running back core, got outdone by Dr. Hockey's putrid running back combo. So this was Hockey's chance to just take it home, and just doesn't have the personnel. Some of these players look belong on my hard team.
Well, the sad thing is, first of all, Devontae Adams was on a bye, so so that hurts him. But then on top of that, I mean, just like the fact that he actually had the personnel. I mean, he doesn't really have any good personnel, but I mean, he had the personnel to beat him. He just didn't have the defense or the kicker. Rosas, how good has Rosas been all season for him? We joked about him all the time, but 14, 10, 10. I mean, he kept getting. I mean, and this is the game that he chooses to only get 6. And Dallas against Washington. I mean, that's not an unreasonable decision. I mean, we saw Washington, just before that, they were horrific. But Houston, and the Houston defense, by the way, I mean, they haven't been that good. I mean, it's just Jacksonville was that atrocious, and that's really what I mean. And that's the whole difference in the game. I mean, he accounted. I mean, Dr. Hockey actually accounted for everything else.
Yeah. I would go for Dr. Hockey. Actually, they actually do something.
Yeah. I mean, granted, the greatest player of all time, or the great, sat on the bench with 41 points, so whatever. But that could have made it. That could have made this score look a little different. But this was definitely an opportunity blown. But speaking of opportunity,
both teams have blockbuster players locking up their IR spot: Devontae Freeman and Leonard Fournette.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Actually, Eugene doesn't even have enough room for his second IR pickup, Marshawn Lynch, unless he drops him. I haven't checked the current waiver wires, but carrying not one but two injured reserve players. Interesting.
He did finally drop Lynch. He picked up Wendell Smallwood.
All right, there we go.
Oh, yeah. Okay, well, moving on to somebody who did not forget to capitalize on his opportunity. The dessert.
Miner does not like his dessert.
He didn't like his meal. His meal went down really. He had some indigestion there last week with Dr. Hockey. I mean, he pulled it out there at the last minute on the Monday night game, but you know he had some difficult.
Waiter.
And then he goes for his dessert, and
170 points. That's more points than he has all season.
I know. I don't know where this came from. I mean, let's look at. So yeah, the Lightning Rods defeats Black Ice Dynasty 170.88. You heard that correctly. Yes, the Lightning Rods, the formerly 0-6 Lightning Rods, he's put up a 170 burger, 170.88 to Black Ice Dynasty's 145.38. Giving him his first win. He actually moves ahead in the and stays alive. He's still alive for a playoff spot if he can win out. Okay. So Goff gets 20.48 to Tom Brady's 26.68. Once again, a quarterback matchup that was about even. Landry actually outplayed Julio Jones. 25 points for Landry, 17 for Jones, 17.1 for Cooks for the Lightning Rods, and 21 for Alshon Jeffrey. So actually, Miner's receiving core outplayed the Lightning Rods receiving core. Kenyon Drake for Miner, the running back, gets 18.7 to Tevin Coleman 16.2, and then Clement only gets 4.2 to Kerryon Johnson's 19.9. Greg Olson only gets 8.5 to OJ Howard's 11.7. 14 points for Josh Gordon, and then, and this is the big one, return of the Mac, 31.9 points. I mean, first of all, that just shows you how awful Hines was. If this guy's getting 31.9 points, I mean, granted it's against Buffalo, but I mean, come on. I mean, it's also still not as good as the Denver defense, for the record, but pretty impressive performance there for Mac. 13 for Zerline, who Miner just picked up off the injury after I finally gave up on him. 5 points for the kicker. 19 points for the Indianapolis defense, and 23 for the Rams defense. The only player in single digits for the Lightning Rods was the kicker with 5 points. I mean, and he left some points on the bench, by the way. 16.9 from Lamar, from Miller. I don't even know where he'd put that. I mean, he has 3 running backs, and none of them are good, by the way. I don't know what happened this week. What am I watching? What happened this week? Tevin Coleman gets 16.2, 19.9 from Kerryon Johnson, 31.9 from Mack, and 16.9 for Miller. What? What?
I don't know. Mac came out of nowhere. I mean, I have no idea. Like, this guy's been injured for the last couple of weeks, but even with his return, are we expecting this kind of performance? This is out of control. He even had a 2-point conversion.
Yeah. I mean, if the Lightning Rods actually gets this kind of performance from these players, he could run the table and make it into the playoffs. I mean, how ridiculous would that be? I mean, 170? I mean, awful teams get like... first of all, he outscored Dr. Hockey by almost 100. 90. Me too. I mean, not that's wasn't who he was playing in the game, but I'm just saying, we've compared the entree and the dessert, but I mean, Dr. Hockey definitely earns the entree. I mean, like, God, 170, and Miner did not have a bad game. He really didn't.
140 would have beat almost every other team except Nick and Jamie.
Yeah, and he didn't leave anything on the bench, really. Demarius Thomas with 9.2, 7.8 for Hoover. I mean, if you're a Miner, you just got to scratch your head and go. I mean, this is one of those games, it's like one of those any given Sunday games where you just go, okay, I got beat. I mean, what are you going to do? This is not Miner's fault at all. I mean, because he had a pretty damn good game. There's nothing that you could point to. It just was not in the cards for him this week. There's literally nothing that he could have done to beat this team.
Nope.
No. But, congratulations to the Lightning Rods for getting off the schneid. You are... There's only one team. That's the reverse Miami Dolphins left. Yeah. Well, let's see what that has in store for next week. See if he can...
Is Audwin in danger of So Audwin's at the brink right now. We said 7 losses is the brink.
Yeah.
So did he go to the brink last year too?
Did he go to the brink? I mean, he went close to the brink.
As fast as somebody can be mathematically limited, as Audwin reached that pinnacle 2 seasons in a row.
He's not mathematically eliminated yet. I mean, he's realistically eliminated, but I don't think he's mathematically eliminated. All right, 2017 season. What did Dr. Hockey do? Let's see. Schedule. Dr. Hockey last year, House Targaryen, as he was known back then, lost the first 6 weeks and then won in week 7.
Oh, so he outdid himself.
And
outdid last year's performance.
And if you want to know a little piece of trivia, the person that he defeated last year for his first win was Black Ice Dynasty.
So I guess Miner has a soft spot for winless teams.
I guess so. Last year, Dr. Hockey's team, after 6 losses, went on to beat Black Ice Dynasty 151.62 to 54.38. So that one is one that you could put on Black Ice Dynasty. This time you can't. But that's interesting that twice. He's the loss. What is that? The loss leader? I don't know. He helps out losing
Dr.
teams.
Paving the way into losing.
Did they play each other yet this year?
What, the dessert?
Did Miner play? Oh yeah, Miner played him last week.
Yeah.
And he just barely beat him. Yeah. All right. Well, congratulations to the Lightning Rods. You are not the worst player in this team. You are not the weakest link. Goodbye. Okay, well, that moves us on to the 2 exciting games that happened this week. So you have the Mighty Whalers defeating the St. Louis Blues 115.90 to 101.14. This actually shouldn't have... This came down to the Sunday night game, and Whalers had a clear edge going into that game. But, I mean, AJ Green was basically holding off the Whalers all by himself. He had 3 people going in the game. He had Tyreek Hill, he had Butker the kicker, and he had Mixon going in the game. And Mixon wasn't doing anything. I mean, Butker was getting, he was getting some points there. And Tyreek Hill, for a large portion of that game until the end, really was not keeping pace with AJ Green. There was a slight lead for the Blues, but I mean, basically every drive would be back and forth. One drive the Blues would take over, one drive the Whalers would get it back and then take over the lead, and it was basically a battle between Hill and Green. But there was a touchdown to Hill at the end of that game that essentially sealed that. That touchdown basically did. But okay, so going inside the numbers, Jameis Winston, 22.10 points to 24.14 points for Rivers, which is actually impressive for Rivers, being they didn't even have the ball. I mean, he threw like a 75-yard bomb the first play, and then I don't think he saw the ball again for like the half. So the fact that he was able to do that out of that game is pretty impressive. And then 20.6 for Hill. Diggs only got 10.6. 5.7 for Galladay for Whalers, 18.7 for Green. As we had mentioned, he was really single-handedly almost trying to carry the team. Mixon 8.1 to David Johnson's 10 points, still hanging with him. 15.5 for Kamara, more pedestrian numbers than in the past, but better than he was when the game in that Ingram came back. 5.2 for Hines. Yes, picked up by the Blues. Only 6.1 for Ebron in that game, and 22.8 for Ertz. So, I mean, Whalers really, I mean, that trade worked out really well for him. 20 points from Hill, 22 from Ertz, and that really is more than the difference in this game. I mean, that's 42 points in this game, and in a week that, by the way, Antonio Brown didn't even play because he was on bye, so, this game would have gone differently had he not made that trade. LaShawn McCoy went down with an injury. Some kind, I don't know. I think he hurt like 5 body parts on that play. It was like his head, and then his ankle, and I don't know, whatever else. But he only ended the game with 0.1 points. But not to be outdone by somebody who was not injured and only got 2.4 points, Callaway in the flex position for the Blues. 9 points for Butker for the Whalers, and 6 for Gould, and 12 for the Minnesota defense, and 18 for the New England defense. Yeah, I mean, it's an exciting game, but this is not that great a performance from the Whalers. I mean, this was basically the Hill and Ertz show.
Yeah, it definitely was. I mean, and obviously a savvy trader. He's a trader 1 as opposed to the appetizer, who's a low-end trader 4. But obviously, like this came down to the Hill and Ertz show, and I think moving forward, it's going to revolve around those two guys. And what do you think about the New Orleans running back situation? Do you sell because you own the other half of that, and Ingram only got 6 points? What's going on in that New Orleans backfield that you're noticing? What's the difference?
Well, the difference is that first of all, they played Baltimore this week, so they have a good defense. Second of all, they were on the road. They're a much better team at home, so that's going to affect it as well. I mean, that's just going to affect the New Orleans numbers in general. But, I mean, look, Kamara at the beginning of the season had inhuman numbers. He had, Mac-like numbers. Just kidding. No. And obviously now that Ingram is back, he's going to cut into that. But, I mean, the share, I think, was, let's see. He outsnapped Ingram 39-35. So, 39. Kamara played 39 of 71 snaps, and Ingram played 35. So, it's basically cutting his point total in half. Now, for Ingram, who didn't play the first week, it's obviously an increase in points for him. But for Kamara, who was getting like 41 points, it's obviously a decrease. He's still a good running back. I don't think that he's going to have the kind of games like he had 2 weeks ago before the bye, where he just basically didn't see the ball. But I think this is going to be, the kind of numbers that he's going to get. I mean,
interesting.
And I think, Mixon is still good. I mean, you just kind of have to write off that Cincinnati game. Cincinnati does that, in big games. I can't believe Marvin Lewis is still a quarterback. I mean, is still a coach there. I think we were in college when that guy was signed with the Bengals, and they haven't done anything. And they are the worst. Like, if there are lights on, they can't play. Like, I've never seen a team crack under pressure like that team. But they that's just some friendly advice for you. I mean, I'll take it too because I have Boyd. But if you have some Bengals and there are lights on, and it's not because it's, like if the lights turn on because it's a 4:00 game, that's fine. You may be able to do that. But if you are the only game that's on TV at the time, do not play Bengals. Just don't do it. Don't do it on the Thursday night game, maybe a Thursday night. But even then, he's usually terrible. And you know this from having Dalton years ago. You rode Dalton for a long time. He was pretty good. And then suddenly he got under the lights. And you're like, what? So yeah, if they're the only game on at the time, do not play Bengals. That's all I could say there. But yeah, what did he call Did the Whalers call Lombardi the best 3-4 team in the league? I don't know. I don't even think he is. But anyway, this Blues team. First of all, he's literally the worst 3-4 team by points. Yeah. I don't even. I don't know. I mean, he still has a chance. It's this team does not even remotely excite me. I don't know what it is. This team just bores me. I don't know what it is. I mean, the Whalers team excites me. I look at the Whalers team and I'm like, you think things are going to, I mean, he's making moves. He's making good moves. He's doing a lot there. I don't know what's going on with the Blues organization. I just don't.
Sometimes it gets 78. I mean, 101 was like a high-scoring game, unfortunately.
Yeah, it kind of was for the Blues. Yeah. I mean, I think the other thing is that Eugene has been so terrible lately that, we haven't even had the fire out of that office. Usually he's out there, I mean, there was some mocking of him on Facebook, but by Eugene. But, do you really even care at this point? Because they're both terrible. I mean,
you don't want to even up the Dion Lewis move by Lombardi, leaving 21 on the bench, and then playing Hines with 5. But again, it's luck of the draw. It's going to be either or. I mean, after Tennessee's horrid 21-0 shutout with 11 sacks, I would have dumped any Tennessee players myself. So you can't really fault them on that one.
Yeah, not really. I mean, let's see. Damn right, the comeback starts now, according to Lombardi. All right, he's fired up. I should be more excited about Lombardi. I'm sorry, Lombardi. Followed by Eugene saying, since when are we rewarding failure as organizations? Guy is under 500, and this is a love fest. My team only seeks to destroy. I don't know what he's seeking to destroy other than himself, and maybe take down some other people in trades, but he's been awful. Lombardi responds, this has nothing to do with your team, Eugene. It's all about the St. Louis. It's all about how the St. Louis... Okay, that's it. How the St. Louis is the best 3-4 team in the league, the best under 500 team! ! Eugene, everyone in this league has something to do with my team, Lombardi. You know why? Because they are in the way. I mean, there's a lot of teams in that way, but okay. All right. Yeah, I'm surprised. By the way, I'm surprised that Eugene hasn't made a trade offer for Marshawn Lynch lately, being that he's on IR. That's the kind of trade that he's peddling all the time. Like, oh, this guy's out. I mean, how many times did he peddle Freeman? I'm surprised Freeman hasn't been like a Marshawn Lynch Freeman package deal from Eugene.
There you go.
Package deal from
IR
Eugene.
Combo?
Yeah, where's that? That's got to be coming down the pike now. For somebody like I don't know, Mac or. Well, Mac has just only had one good game. We need somebody even better than that. That's been like Tyreek Hill or Zach Ertz. Whalers, expect a trade offer Freeman and Lynch for Hill and Ertz.
Right, free up your IR spot for your trade.
All right, and that brings anyway. That brings us to the last game, the most exciting game of the week, which was, once again, we had another exciting Monday night matchup. I mean, how many weeks in a row has this been with, like Monday night games that are like decided by a point? I've never seen games decided by. First of all, I think in the past we had like maybe one game a season that was decided by under a point. I mean, there's been at least 3, right? Am I right?
At least.
And then there's been others that maybe it wasn't decided by a point, but it was decided by a play, basically. So Tillett, Team Auto Draft, wins the game against Fitzmagic, the Millennials, 115.64 to 114.94, a .70 victory. What is that? 7 yards. Wow, look, I mean this was exciting, but look at these numbers. First of all, I'm gonna read off Tillett's description of this game because I think that pretty much captures it. especially since I didn't watch any of this because I was sitting at home depressed. According to Kimmel, I just want to say this is one of the craziest fantasy finishes I have ever been a part of. Close game. I have Barkley. Brian has OBJ. OBJ catches the ball at the 2. Barkley scores. I go from being down to up 5.8 points. Last drive, OBJ catches the pass with 5 seconds left. Brian goes up by a point. 2-point conversion, which shouldn't have even been a thing. Barkley for the score. I win by 1. Nuts. I kind of wish I had paid attention because that is quite exciting. Looking inside the numbers, I mean, we've had some quarterback matchups that have been very close this week. This was not one of them. Andrew Luck with 30.7, 4 points to Blake Bortles whooping 1.44 points. I mean, I feel
yet still overcame that to make the game close.
Yeah, I mean that is one thing. I feel bad for the Millennials in terms of his quarterback was on a bye this week. I saw him in the office and he was like asking me because Russell Wilson was on a bye, he was asking me, can I really start Bortles? I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? He was fine last week, right? He got 13 points last week, 26 the week before, but oh man, and he had Beathard on the bench with 10.10. Not that that's a great score, but still would have been enough to win this game. So 28.20 for Beckham, 17.7 for Evans, though you really want to compare Beckham's number to Saquon Barkley's numbers. 26 for Thielen, only 11.30 for Jackson, and it's not even only 11. I mean, Thielen has just been ridiculous. I mean, he's basically getting all the passes in those games. 22.30 for Cohen, to 26.40 for Barkley, 5.9 for Duke Johnson, and 0 points for Carlos Hyde, still on his plane on the way to Jacksonville, so he didn't even play. 14.5 for Kelsey, 6.3 for Reed, 6.6 for Willie Snead the fourth, not outdoing Willie Snead the third or the fifth. And then 15.2 for Njoku. Good play there to play Njoku. 6 points for the New Orleans kicker. 7 for the Jets kicker. I mean, you could make that. That's the difference in this game. 4 points for the Chicago defense and 1 for Philadelphia defense. Actually, we had joked last week about the Millennials playing both Chicago running backs. Had he done that, I mean, Howard got 11.8 on the bench. Had he done that, he would have won this game. I mean, this was an eminently winnable game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, easily winnable. Easily winnable.
I mean, for both of these teams. I mean, this is,
I stopped paying attention to the excitement in this game after the false starts by the fat shit Falcons guy, but after that, actually, it was very exciting for Tilla Trey and the Millennials. I was kind of half-assed watching it, but he's right. It went back and forth and back and forth. Beckham would make a catch, Barkley would get a run, and then it came down to, again, both. So I can't even imagine who would have won this game prior to those 2 false starts, because at that point the Giants wouldn't even gotten the ball back again. I think the Millennials would have actually won this game. So he actually benefited from the false starts. And again, one team has to benefit, and somebody has to get the shaft.
Well, and the other thing, I mean, how many? Like we said, there's been so many of these 1-point games all season long. I mean, how many of these has Tillett been a part of? I mean, he started out with the Amari Cooper. I mean, he didn't even have Amari Cooper to do it this time. And now Cooper's going to Dallas, so we'll see how that affects anything. I don't even know what to tell you there on that advice. I have no advice on Amari Cooper.
Tillett, don't do it. Don't do it.
I wouldn't do it the first week, but I just wouldn't. I know it's gonna be tempting to put him in there.
Tillett, sell high. Trade him to somebody.
I would. Actually, that would be the smart thing to do. Tillett, trade Amari Cooper to anyone for anything at this point. Although he could, down the line, he could. Dallas could feature. I don't know, but I would.
Don't do it, Tillett.
That's one. Don't do it, and then and one. Wait it out and see. But you have no play him this week's. Is he even playing this week? I don't even know. Don't play him right away. Don't play him in their first game. I don't think they are playing this week. I think they're playing in 2 weeks. Anyway, yeah, but I mean, how many weeks has he been just the guy who's just had one? I mean, he's the cardiac kids of this season. I mean, my God, this Tillett team, week in and week out, it's like 1 point game. I mean, so week one, I mean, we had the game, him and Nick and Jamie was decided by the point. Or yeah, 120 to 119. Let's see, week two, he beat me 144-126, so he actually had a solid win there, but that was because my kicker went down, bopping his banana. 141. All right, so week 3 was a reasonable win. Week 4, another one, and then week 5. This is going to start to get boring unless one of these. Maybe I'm not even know what I'm talking about. Week 6 was the 10-point win for Eugene. I think that happened in like the last minute. Yeah, and then this one. All right, so 2. Never mind. You weren't even that close. I had no idea what I'm talking about. You're boring too. Actually, I don't think I think he has the most exciting games. I do. Unlike the Blues, who's just boring. And Eugene, who's getting ho-hum. Sorry, Eugene.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I said this, I'm going to entice him to do something ridiculous now. I can't wait to see his antics after this one. Anyway, moving on to this upcoming week's games. Well, anything you have to say about this last week's games, or you just want to flush it down the toilet and forget about it?
Yeah, let's just forget about it. Let's move on.
Okay. Where do we want to start with this upcoming week's games? Anything stand out to you that you find enticing?
Week 8. Let's see what's going on. Well, the Wet Naps are playing each other. I play Lombardi. You get the Nicky Baby matchup. Watch it with this guy. He's a sneaky player. Minor
Sneaky Man.
Jamie, interesting. Eugene gets the dessert, who's may not be as tasty as you think it might be. Tilla Trey gets the entree. And Whalers, Millennials, projection-wise, they're very close. That could turn out to be the game of the week.
Whalers and Millennials. All right, so we'll save that one for last. Let's start with Dr. Hockey. Let's start where his season ends. Dr. Hockey, make Godwin great again against Tillett Trey. It's time for his turn at the cafeteria. 125.99 to 72.
He's bringing his tray.
He's bringing his tray. He already brought his tray to the cafeteria. He's ready to be served.
Be careful. Be careful. I mean, you have to be more careful when you're picking your dessert, but the entree is pretty safe, Tillett. Pretty safe choice.
Yeah, you take whatever you want off the menu here. Okay. Right. So in this game, Tillett is rolling with Andrew Luck at Oakland. Ooh, wow. That should be pretty good. And Drew Brees is going at Minnesota. I'm certainly going to favor Andrew Luck in this matchup, even though, I mean, first of all, Brees is at Minnesota. He's not at home. And Andrew Luck is playing, I mean, he's basically not even playing a team. I don't know what's going on there in Oakland, but I don't think that they're fielding a professional football team there in Oakland anymore. So yeah, I'm going to give the edge to Andrew Luck there. I'm assuming you are as well.
Yeah, Oakland has so they got rid of Khalil Mack. Lynch is injured, and they got rid of Cooper. I mean, who's next? Carr is going to be out of there?
Yeah, so clearly you favor Luck in that one. Okay. We have Cole versus Evans. Oh, my God. Mike Evans, I'm going to favor him there. Deshaun Jackson against, I'm assuming, Adams. Devontae Adams, he's going to put him back in the lineup because he's not playing a Cole Beasley on bye. I'll favor Devontae Adams there. I mean, you know, in either of those matchups, he's been money. Philip Lindsay, who had an impressive performance last week going against Saquon. I think I'm going to give the edge to Saquon. Right now he's got Crowell in there at Chicago against Henry. I don't even know. Who does Hockey have on the bench here? Nobody. Okay, so he's going to pick somebody out of the trash can or Royce Freeman. But Crowell, I mean, he got a...
Oh, Bilal Powell's now on IR, so he's out of the mix. That's all the Jets have.
All right, so running back, all right. Okay, so Njoku against Brait, obviously Njoku. Tyler Lockett, all right, Tillett playing Tyler Lockett, even though, you don't have to play anybody since you're playing Dr. Hockey this week, but okay. Against Tyler Gabriel, who's actually been recently, he wasn't good this last week, but he's been good otherwise, and Rosas trying to make up for his last week. Whatever, going against Myers, so Giants versus Jets kickers. Tillett has Philadelphia going against Jacksonville, which I think is a smart pick given how Jacksonville performed last week. And now traveling over to London, though, it didn't work out that well for Nicky Baby this last week. I mean, it worked out in the end, but I mean, it wasn't as... I mean, I think he spent $10 on that defense. It was not worth it. Versus whatever defense Hockey picks up. We'll see if he plays Brait or if he puts in Vance McDonald. Anua's out, so hopefully Hockey won't play him. And Larry Fitzgerald going against San Francisco. Look, there's no way that Hockey's going to... I can't... I mean, unless something ridiculous happens, Hockey's not going to win this game.
Hockey's the lock of the season.
Yeah, no. I think Tillett, you could sit down and enjoy your meal.
Enjoy this entree, Tillett.
A well-earned entree after defeating the Millennials last week.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on. I don't know. Let's do Black Ice Dynasty versus Nick and Jamie. I'm kind of curious about this game because here's the thing. Nick and Jamie riding off the high of look, they're making... First of all, what defense have they picked up? Washington versus the Giants. Because they have been so on point for their... I want to pick their brain to find out what is going on for them. I mean, because 2 weeks ago they did the same thing to you. They picked up some deep... What defense did they pick up? That got like...
They picked up Seattle when they played the horrible Raiders in London.
Yeah,
they got like 20 points, some ridiculous number.
Yeah, they just keep getting defensive points. I mean, they don't even need to field the rest of this team if they're just going to play their defense. But let's see. So right now the projection is 141.71 to 127.02 in favor of Nick and Jamie. Miner has Goff versus Green Bay. Nick and Jamie has Wentz at Jacksonville in London. I favor Wentz also. I mean, especially since Goff does not get that many points because he's handing off to Gurley on the goal line every time. And quarterback points are all, they're all determined basically by touchdown passes. And he just doesn't get them. So I'm going to favor Wentz there. Edelman at Buffalo on Monday night. And there's not even a Q next to his name. Ooh. Versus Jordan Landry at Pittsburgh. Landry's actually been pretty good lately. 25 points last week. Interesting. Landry might actually outplay him there. Doug Baldwin coming back. So Baldwin is playing at Detroit. Tate playing versus Seattle. So the two opposing receivers in that game. What has Tate been doing? 10 points. But Baldwin hasn't been doing anything either, has he?
Baldwin's injured, but now he had a decent game last time with 15 points.
Yeah, he played Oakland, though. I don't even know. I'm going to give a slight edge to Miner, I think, in the running back. Drake, and he picked up Doug Martin, your old buddy. Doug Martin. Now, Drake has been fine. He's actually been playing reasonably well lately. What did he get last week? I mean, he got like 18 points. Martin, who knows what he's going to do? I mean, there's nobody else on the team. But let's say that he has a great game. He's still going against Kareem Hunt and James White. Obviously, edge to Nick and Jamie there.
One of the most devastating running back tandems this season.
You got Greg Olsen against Gronkowski. Do we have an update on Gronkowski's health? No, we don't. We don't know. So if Gronk plays, obviously it makes big difference, as we saw his backup got 0. Olsen is still nursing his injuries, but still, he caught the game-winning TD last week. Playing so Olsen versus Baltimore, Gronk at Buffalo. Obviously, the matchup favors Gronk, especially if he plays, even though he hasn't been that good. But still, I would favor him there. And then in the flex, Antonio Brown versus Cleveland against T.Y. Hilton at Oakland. That's actually a pretty good matchup at flex between these two players. Then Zerline versus Gostkowski. Zerline's playing versus Green Bay. Gostkowski at Buffalo. I mean, Zerline is good. And then Jacksonville against Washington. I mean, you got to favor the Washington defense at the Giants as opposed and the prowess of them picking up these players against Minor picking up the Jacksonville defense. It's been horrid, and I can attest to that firsthand. This is look. I'm gonna Nick and Jamie, I think, are gonna win this game, but I think they're gonna win it at running back. Excuse me. I think they're going to win it at running back. But other than that, it's a fairly even matchup, which I think is what the projection shows.
Yeah, definitely. I would give the edge to Nick and Jamie because of the ridiculous running back tandem that they have right there. I mean, Doug Martin, I don't know if he balances it out. I mean, he will be the starting back on a team that doesn't have a team. Nobody to throw to. It has no defense, so not sure how much Dougie Martin, good old Doug Martin, makes a reappearance. But, yeah, I think that White and Hunt are just money men. You just can't beat those guys.
And especially with Michelle out now in New England, I mean, he's going to be the only guy there. I mean, they may go to Barker, but still, I mean, and Hunt. Yeah. Definitely giving the edge to Nick and Jamie. All right, let's move on. I think that leaves, there's a bunch of games left. Let's go to our two games. You want to go yours or mine first?
Let's go to our hard matchup against the snoozer Blues.
Oh, yeah, the boring Blues. Okay, in this one, the Hackstown Hagglers projected with a 122.70 to 108.36 projection. Wow, Blues is projected. That's a high projection for the Blues. 108, double digits in his projections.
And that's without Phillip Rivers.
Oh, yeah. Oh, so he's got to pick somebody out of the trash can. Well, I guess he's got Case Keenum. Whew, against KC. CK against KC. So Deshaun Watson playing versus Miami on Thursday night against Case Keenum. Well, what did Watson, he got like 12.8 last week. I don't even know. So here's the problem with Watson this season is that their red zone offense is horrific. I just, he's not getting the point. What has Keenum done? He got 11.84 in that last one. I don't know. I don't like either of these quarterback matchups, to be honest with you. Hopkins versus Miami against Diggs versus New Orleans. I think those are two pretty good matchups for both these players, but I think that Thielen is getting all the touches in Minnesota, and I think Hopkins will do well against Miami. Emmanuel Sanders, who's been ridiculous against normal teams, is now going against Kansas City. I think that he's going to have quite a game going against AJ Green, going against Tampa Bay. Wow, these are some favorable matchups that all of your players have this week. Both of them. Yeah, I don't know. David Johnson versus San Francisco. Adrian Peterson at the Giants. Rojo 2, the sequel, going against Chris Thompson. Is Thompson going to come back and try to battle against Adrian Peterson for you? Ooh, that's a fuck you. Ribs limited on Wednesday. Oh, well, maybe. Then you got Tim Burton, the Nightmare During the Season, versus Eric Ebron going against Oakland. Whew. Burton versus the Jets. Wow, this could actually be a very high scoring game between the both. I mean, look at this. I'm quite impressed with these matchups that you guys have. Robert Woods versus Green Bay. Those are pretty high scoring games going against Alex Collins. Was there anything that? No, that's where you have that's where you have the advantage.
that's where Lombardi starts to conk out.
Yeah, Alex Collins outtouches Buck Allen 14-6. Wow, 14. He rushed 11 times for 38 yards. Scintillating numbers there. Okay, Matt Prater versus Seattle. Gould at Arizona. Indianapolis defense for you against this Oakland horrific team, but he's got the New England defense at Buffalo. I mean, all right, obviously. Yeah, I'm going to pick your team in this one, but only because Alex Collins sucks. And that's going to be the difference in this game. That actually might be a surprisingly high-scoring game.
I agree. This could be quite interesting. If one player doesn't perform, it could be costly in this matchup.
Yeah, that's why I'm surprised you're rolling with Ronald Jones. Rojo, too.
What do you want me to do? This running back situation is abysmal. Dalvin Cook is now projected to be out until after the Week 10 bye. All right, there's nobody. Nobody. We've scoured the RB market. There's nobody. Okay, I could throw in Ivory or Barnum and Bailey Circus. There's nobody to throw in at running back. Right?
Why wouldn't you put in Barnum and Bailey Circus? I mean, he got a whooping 3.6 points last week.
There you go. That's why he's not in.
Ivory. I mean, Ivory, he got 13.6 points last week, after McCoy went down.
We're going to see if certain things happen, then we might switch it up. But again, it's going to be close. There's no running back available out there. They're all garbage.
I mean, 5.02 projection for Rojo. You rolled with Peyton Barber last week, so now you're switching it up and going back to the other guy. Okay. Well, like I said, I mean, look, Rojo might be equaling Collins, but look, your wide receiver core remains one of the best ones in the league, and you are playing the Blues. You should win this game. But, I mean, as much as I call Lombardi boring, let's not kid ourselves about the intensity of the rivalry that this matchup has. I mean, you are the one who dubbed him low-end coach 1, or what is he, a low-end coach 2?
Coach 4.
Coach 4.
Well, no, I'm sorry, that's Eugene. He's a low-end coach 2, okay?
Well, Eugene is just a low-end trader 4.
Right.
And the Blues, who got on your case for trading away Le'Veon Bell last week. I mean, this is actually quite a rivalry, and you played him in the playoffs. I mean, don't snooze on this matchup.
Did we play him in the playoffs? No, somebody else beat him in the playoffs. Nick and Jamie destroyed him in the playoffs. I didn't even get a chance to play him in the playoffs.
Oh, that's right. You couldn't even get to me.
I couldn't even get to him.
Yeah, that's right. That's when you said, yeah, to Eugene. Yeah, that's right. You can't even get to me.
Right.
All right. Well, whatever. I still think it's a rivalry. So,
Barely. It's a snooze fest.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not like a rivalry like you and the Lightning Rods, but,
No.
It's something. Look, I'm trying to find any intrigue I can for Lombardi at this point. Nobody's paying attention to his team. Maybe the Whalers. I call them the best 3-4 team with the worst point total. I don't know. All right. Let's go on to the 1603ers playing Nicky Baby. This is somewhat of a rivalry too. I've had some close matchups with Nick in the past, and you go back all the way to Vito Gate. I've had a hankering to hate this team for a while. Okay, so the projection right now is 122.49 to 115.98 in favor of Nicky Baby, seeking to just devastate my team even further. In the quarterback matchup, Andy Dalton versus Tampa Bay against Trubisky versus the Jets. I mean, on paper, that's a good matchup for Dalton versus Tampa Bay. Trubisky has had lots of numbers lately, though, so I don't know. It depends on which Dalton shows up. I mean, granted, he's not playing under the lights, so that bodes well for him. I don't know. Fairly even matchup could be Will Fuller versus Miami against Sterling Shepard versus Washington. Let's see if Sterling Shepard can repeat these kinds of numbers. I mean, so 21.70 last week, but the week before that he only had 6.7. I mean, he's hit or miss going against this Washington team. I mean, it is a division rival. We'll see. I don't know. The 1603s have Amendola at Houston on Thursday night. So two of the wide receivers on the Thursday night game going against Cooper Kupp, who's right now listed as doubtful versus Green Bay. Wonder if he's even going to play in that game. He's doubtful to play. Yeah, he's probably not. So he's going to have to find somebody else to put in there. Keenan Allen's on a bye. He might have to go with Randall Cobb or Jordy Nelson to go into that spot. That might be a little bit of an advantage for the 1603s right there. Then we have the Terminator returning versus Cleveland going against Todd Gurley versus Green Bay. This is quite a matchup at running back. That actually will be entertaining. I kind of wish I had Melvin Gordon to balance it out, but I don't. And then you have Latavius Murray versus New Orleans going against Mustard. You must start Mustard. Raheem at Arizona. Look, Murray's been getting a lot of good numbers coming out of, coming in to replace Dalvin Cook. If Breda's actually out, so here's the question. So I do have Ingram sitting on the bench in this game because they are playing Minnesota and they are a tough defense, and he didn't have the best game last week. So I went out and I got Mustard. If Breda doesn't play, I will start him. If Breda somehow decides to suit up, then I will move Ingram back. And then we'll actually have a battle of running backs going against each other. Kyle Rudolph versus Kittle. Kittle has the advantage here because Rudolph sucks. And Kittle's been amazing, and I traded him away. Fuck that guy. And then Tyler Boyd going against Jared Cook versus Indianapolis. Look, Cook could have a good game here because there's nobody else. Look, they technically are an NFL franchise. They have to throw to somebody, and Cook seems to get a lot of those passes when they can't throw to anybody else, so he could have a good game there. Bailey versus New Orleans and McManus at Kansas City, and the Pittsburgh defense going against the Arizona defense playing against San Francisco. Well, I always pick my opponents, and I will not make I'll do the same here. I'm going to pick Nicky Baby to win this game, but it could be close. A couple matchups might determine this. How well Cook does will determine a lot. If Rudolph can develop anything. Mustard's performance. Whether or not Cooper Kupp plays. I mean, this one's very much up in the air. So I'm not sure how I would do it if I was doing this objectively and not just my normal not picking myself. So let's bring in somebody objective. Yourself, what do you think?
Well, I don't know how objective we're going to be, being I just lost to Nick. So if you had to ask for an objective opinion, very hard to do, but...
Well, you lost to our team, too. You've lost to both of these teams this year.
Oh, yeah, of course. But Nicky Baby, you got to watch out for Gurley, Dave. I think you're going to be unpleasantly surprised when you play Gurley. Because they just trot him in on first and goal, and it's very annoying.
Are they playing out here? They're playing out here, right?
Yeah, well, they're versus Green Bay. Yeah, they're home.
Maybe I'll go to the game and just run out onto the field.
Tackle him.
Yes, Gurley goes to the line. No! I don't know. Yeah,
and Kittle's been annoying. Nick just has an annoying team overall.
Yeah.
Stone Stepper's obviously annoying. I hate that guy. Latavius Murray is super annoying. I'm just picking the 1603ers out of sheer annoyance at this point. I'm not sure about Mustard. That's Mustard. That's an interesting play. Rudolph hasn't done jack squat. I'm a little bit worried about Tyler Boyd. You're not, but that Cincinnati offense is atrocious. And Fuller, Houston's offense is atrocious. You have some atrocious offenses that you're going with right now.
I have some slumping problems, and then I also have the fact that the Chargers are on a bye. This I've been a rough couple of weeks for my team. Let's just say.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to pick a team in this one, you never go with yourself anyway, so you won't mind me. I'm gonna have to go with Nicky Baby and Todd Gurley. I just can't pick against Gurley anymore. I'm tired of that guy.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, I don't think that's as bad. I mean, yeah. I mean, Nick can certainly win this game. Has he had even a remotely bad game yet? No. His lowest score is, 23 in the first week? Other than he's usually in the 30s. Great. Great grand. Treat of the road. Okay. At least he could compete with the Denver defense if he's playing Nick and Jamie at any point. Okay. Well, that's that game. And then before we move on to the what we've dubbed the most exciting games, it's time to go to the entree, or what is it, the appetizer versus the dessert. Dave's Secret Crush projected to win 125.85 to the Lightning Rod's 91.68. Apparently, resting on his laurels after the 170 barn burner, hasn't even put in somebody for Julio Jones or Tevin Coleman at this point. So let's see. We've got Kirk Cousins going against Tom Brady. Cousins playing versus New Orleans. Is he going to play Kansas? Is he going to play, what's his name? Mahomes versus Denver. Well, let's see. Greatest player of all time. Well, Cousins playing New Orleans. I don't know. And Brady going at Buffalo. Brady will have a decent game. Buffalo sucks. Michael Thomas at Minnesota. They have a decent defense going against nobody at this point. Let's see. Who does he have on the bench? Smith-Schuster. He's going to put in Smith-Schuster, obviously, into that position. Smith-Schuster's been actually really good this season. Okay. He could, and then you got C. Rogers. Chester Rogers. I don't know who, I literally know nothing about this guy. He's on Indianapolis. What am I missing? What did I not read?
No, I think you read everything. Just Chester Rogers.
This is why he's a low-end trader for... First of all, you're what? You're rolling with... After all of the trades, you're rolling with... Okay. Chester Rogers against... Well, I mean, he's playing Oakland. I can see that. Okay. Maybe that's why. Going against Brandon Cooks. Is Cooks finally back? Oh, yeah, he was back last week. He got a touchdown. I'm going to give the edge in the wide receivers to the Lightning Rod, surprisingly. McCaffrey versus Baltimore. That's a tough matchup going against nobody. I guess he's going to put in Lamar Miller right there because he was playing Miami, but he better do it soon because that game is tomorrow night. Then you've got Chris Carson, the workhorse, against Detroit, or at Detroit, going against Kerryon Johnson versus Seattle. So we have running backs battling each other. I'm going to go with the carry-on luggage there. Ben Watson, the newly acquired Ben Watson at Minnesota. I'm kind of pissed about him picking him up. So I wanted to pick up Ben Watson, but I just couldn't. I had no room for him on my bench this week. Maybe I should have picked him. Maybe I should have dropped Rudolph, but I couldn't do it. So whatever. I mean, trust me. I poured over these numbers. They're not that. I mean, when he was like. He had 3 points a couple weeks ago, 7 other than that. I mean, he had a good game last week. I mean, but he has a favorable schedule. I don't know. Decent pickup. I mean, especially since we've been criticizing who he's had at the tight end position. I mean, this is actually a decent pickup for Eugene. This was a low-end coach one move. Or a mid-range coach one. Flex coach one move. Going against O.J. Howard. Didn't O.J. Howard... He's been doing good things, right? 16, 11, yeah. All right, O.J. Howard against Ben Watson. All right. Then we got Sammy Watkins, who hasn't done any... I mean, is Sammy Watkins... I mean, I saw him make a catch at least last week, so I know he's on the scoreboard. He got 11.4 in the blowout. When did he get that? In the trash heap of garbage time? When did he get 11.4? What numbers is he... 7 targets, 4 receptions, 74 yards. He must have caught a big bomb or something, right? It's got to be all in one play. Yeah, because other than that, 3.0. I mean, no. Against Mac? The Mac attack? 30 points last week? Obviously. At Oakland? Come on. It's obviously Mac right there. Fairbairn versus Miami tomorrow night, and the Houston defense tomorrow night. Wow, Eugene rolling heavy on Thursday night with the Houston defense and kicker going against Tucker and the Los Angeles Rams defense. Well, first question is, do you think that the Lightning Rods is actually going to put in Lamar Miller tomorrow night, or do you think he's going to forget about this until Sunday?
No, he'll put it in. He's an avid listener of the podcast. Obviously, he'll put him in.
Gayton Casimir is.
I guess everybody is, aren't they?
I don't know if everybody is. I mean, I know Eugene and Whalers and and Tillett, but Gayton Casimir, I don't know. Has he ever listened? I've never seen a comment. I don't even know. Is he like? I've never seen him post anything on Facebook. I don't know. I don't think he is. You can make fun of him all you want, because I don't. I mean, actually, okay. Let's do this. Gayton Casimir, if you're listening, I want you to text a code word onto Facebook to let us know that you've listened, and that code word should be Miller time, because it's Miller time that you should have put this in. Yeah, that will determine if he listens to the podcast or not, and I'm pretty sure he doesn't. Yeah, I mean, I have a feeling he's going to wait until Sunday. I don't know. I mean, he's high off his win. I mean, come on, Gayton Casimir, you've got to put it in there.
I mean, Eugene's team is it's beatable. Let's just say in a word, beatable.
If he puts in Lamar Miller, and then he has at least a few days to put in Smith-Schuster, I think he'll put him in. I think if he puts in Schuster and he actually puts in Miller, I think the Lightning Rods could win this game.
With the Mac attack, yeah, I give it to Lightning Rods.
Yeah, me too. Upset of the week, clearly, on that one.
Yeah.
All right. Which brings us to the last and most exciting game of the week. That is the Mighty Whalers against Fitzmagic, the Millennials. Right now, the projection is 142.61 to 140.68 in favor of the Millennials. No longer having to roll with Blake Bortles. Going with Russell Wilson at Detroit against Jameis Winston at Cincinnati. The hero. Yes, and Ball Hog versus Jameis Winston at Cincinnati. I mean, what has Wilson been doing? 27, 24.
And if people don't we call Russell Wilson the hero, it's not for any good reasons. It's because he snaps the ball, looks for like 1.5 nanoseconds, decides that nobody's open, and is going to run it himself. That's why we call him the hero.
Yeah, don't be a hero.
Don't be a hero. I don't need a hero. Okay, I just need a quarterback.
Right, he's going to be... All right, well, he's playing Detroit, and then Winston's playing... I mean, these are favorable matchups for both of these. Maybe I give it a little bit slight edge to Wilson, I think, but I don't know. Tyreek Hill versus Denver against Odell Beckham versus Washington, and Galladay versus Seattle, and Thielen versus New Orleans. Whew. I'm certainly giving the edge in the wide receiver tandem there to the Millennials. My gosh. Tyreek Cohen versus the Jets against Mixon versus Tampa Bay. That's also a good matchup right there. Then Kamara at Minnesota going against Jean-Luc Richard. Jalen Richard versus the Indianapolis. Let's see. He led Oakland in receiving. Any other interesting... I mean, he had 12.1 points. I mean, this guy's been passed around like a $5 hooker. He's been on my team. He's been on yours. Now he's on Fitz Magic. Okay. I mean, come on. I mean, yeah. I mean, obviously.
Kelsey versus Ertz. This is a premier tight end matchup.
Oh yeah, it is. This is too. Yeah. So I mean, the running backs. I'm going to give the edge slightly to the Whalers. I think you give the quarterback. I mean, the quarterback I think is a wash to me. I'm going to give a slight edge to the Millennials and receiver. I'm going to give a slight edge to the Whalers and running backs. Ertz versus Kelsey. That's so good. I don't even
Do you
know.
really give a slight edge to the Whalers and running? Have you seen Cohen's numbers the last 2 weeks?
22 points. Yeah, but I mean, Richard.
Yeah, but I mean, Kamara's not exactly been burning it up.
That's true. Neither is Richard.
Well, no, I think Cohen might be the top running back out of these four.
Okay, interesting. All right. Ertz versus Kelsey. Do you have an opinion on that?
Ooh, Ertz versus Kelsey. I give it to Ertz. I mean, he's just been the consistent. Kelsey's had some primetime matchups and has just barely gotten above double digits.
Yeah, there's
And
so many
Ertz
weapons
is just-
there.
I mean, Ertz he's 20 points every time almost.
And well, I mean, he's playing in the London game, and he's going against Jacksonville. So, and they theoretically have corners on their team, which means that they might want to funnel it to Ertz. Yeah, I'm going to give the edge to Ertz based on the matchup. Oh, and Whalers is playing Nick Chubb, the newly acquired Nick Chubb, who did not bad last week. He got 14 points. This time, though, he's going against Pittsburgh. And the Millennials is going with bunches of funchies. Has he done anything? Did he play last week?
He got 8 last week, but I mean, he's playing Baltimore this week. That doesn't look good.
Yeah. All right, Butker versus Lutz. So Whalers has Butker. He's actually been pretty consistently good, and Lutz has been meh. And then the Baltimore defense for the Whalers at Carolina, and the Chicago defense versus the Jets. Nothing really scintillating on the defensive matchup. I'm surprised that Bortles is still on the team. That's mighty big of him. Ooh, this is such a good game. I mean, if you're given the running back tandem, if you think that the running backs are, the Millennials is favored in running back, then I don't see how that you don't pick the Millennials to win this game.
I'm actually picking the Millennials. This is very upset-like.
Interesting. I think that I think the Whalers is going to pull this out. But I think it'll be close. The receiving core is really good for the Millennials here.
Yeah, he's riding Thielen.
Yeah. I mean,
but Tyreek Hill has just been on fire as well. This is a tough one to pick, but I just potential-wise, I like the Millennials could actually make some noise in this one.
I think that they could too. I'm still going to pick the Whalers, but yes, I would not be surprised if this was the upset of the week. Did I already pick the upset of the week for the Lightning Rods to beat Eugene? I mean, you can't even call that an upset anymore, right?
No, you can't. You can't. It's dessert versus appetizer.
That's true. Yeah. All right. Well, I guess that goes through all the games. What is your lock of the week? I think we already
Anybody
have...
playing that is the lock of the season. So Tillett is the lock of the week.
Obviously, I have the same. And then your upset of the week, so you're going to go with Millennials against the Whalers as your upset.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Millennials. That would be an upset.
That would be an upset. You know what? I'm gonna, even though I'm picking Whalers to actually win the game, and the upset of the week, the potential upset of the week would be the Millennials against the Whalers. But I'm gonna still, Eugene has to be mentioned in everything all the time anyway, so why not? I'm going to just go with the lightning rods upsetting Eugene as the upset. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go with Eugene upsetting the lightning rods as the upset of the week. Just to be extra insulting. All right.
Holy crap.
I think that should wrap it up, right? I have nothing else to say about this week. Hopefully, this will be better than last week. Yeah. Well, good luck to all the teams out there. Yeah. See you next week.
Yeah, see you next week.